For the benefit of my international viewers, in case you weren't aware, we're having kind of a rough time here in the good old US of A. The middle of the country is getting ripped apart by tornadoes, somebody sent poisoned letters to the president, the trajectory of our economy is still somewhere between Tank Girl future and Frogtown future, there's giant snakes in Florida, high-profile Supreme Court cases are polarizing civil discourse like nothing since the mid-60s, a bunch of shady crap is going down with the IRS, and somebody let M. Night Shyamalan release another movie. In the face of all that mounting, nigh-apocalyptic chaos, much of it derived from complex, serious, relevant issues requiring careful consideration and attention, a slew of political and cultural commentators in the media, aka the people we count on to cut through all the chatter and help us discern what's really important and what really needs talking about, chose to focus their valuable and limited attention this particular weekend on the importation of an Australian children's cartoon to a low-rated cable network. Yeah. Supposedly, this latest and most grave threat yet to the foundations of the societal order is called Shizao. And, folks, look, it's my job to know about this stuff, and even I'd never heard of this until people started freaking the hell out about it over the weekend. So I watched some of it, and yeah, it's okay. I mean, as current-era cartoons go, it's not exactly Adventure Time or Gumball quality, but it's funny, and I can see why the hub picked it up. Though I'm not entirely convinced that it's the magic bullet that's actually going to get people outside of brony fandom to start watching the hub. So what's the big deal exactly? Well, according to the breathlessly urgent reporting on various political blogs, Shizao is a transsexual superhero whose titular series is part of the much-vaunted gay agenda to indoctrinate your precious children into rejecting binary gender stratification to further their sick and depraved goals of, communism, I guess? I don't know anymore. These people are deranged. Have you ever actually watched Fox News? So, the premise of the show is that this kinda bratty young teenage kid finds a magic ring and winds up endowed with the mantle of a superhero that wasn't specifically meant for him, a la Green Lantern. The twist? Said mantle is that of Shizao, in all instances prior, a female hero with specifically gendered abilities and gear. So not only does the little twerp get saddled with unwanted world-saving responsibilities, he has to do so while dressed like Hot Topic Sailor Moon.
Whoa! What happened?
The ring turned you into Shizao!
I am not Shizao! I'm a dude!
This is hilarious! It's just inconceivable!
Say it, don't spray it.
Boomerang brush? Check.
It's a funny joke, make no mistake, aimed less at the idea of cross-dressing or gender identity. Despite the fears of the aforementioned angry commentators, Shizao doesn't turn into a girl, the magic just gives him the outfit, and more at the goofy design conventions of female heroes, i.e. that they either get to wear the girl version of a male character's costume or an outfit designed to constantly reinforce the idea that she is in fact female. This sort of thing goes all the way back to the original Golden Age Batwoman and Batgirl, who carried weaponized makeup accessories in their utility purses. Really. Wonder Woman is one of the only solo heroines whose weaponry outside of maybe that tiara are overwhelmingly gender neutral, and, well, we already did an episode about why Wonder Woman is so different. And please note that I am talking about solo heroines here, excluding, for example, the women of X-Men, who do get their own identities but are still mostly known as part of the team, yes, even her, or Sue Storm, who's the female part of the Fantastic Four, or any of the Legion women. Wasp is technically the distaff counterpart of Ant-Man, Black Widow's name is more or less a negatively gendered pun, that sort of thing. You know, when you think about it, there's almost definitely more noteworthy, independently aligned female villains than there are heroines. Poison Ivy, Catwoman, Battle Axe, Killer Frost, Typhoid Mary. Hey, isn't that interesting, huh? And that's sort of the entire joke of this show. It shouldn't really be a problem to have a hand-me-down superhero identity. I mean, Batgirl basically wears Batman's colors and trademarks, but it is because Shizao is specifically a girl hero, and girl-specific heroes have largely been forced to be pretty lame for a long time. It's a funny setup, but that's literally all it is. The supposed connection between this boy gets superpowers but has to wear a dress to use them gag, and the actual LGBTQ issues its critics are so enraged about are spectacularly thin. The definition of tangential or circumstantial. Not that I'd have an issue if there was something to it, of course. After all, it is the 21st century, people. Transgendered and or at least gender-questioning youth do exist and have always existed, so damn right they ought to see some positive representations of themselves in their cartoons. And while Shizao isn't and isn't aiming to be precisely that, I can only imagine that a kid-oriented series that's at its core about how pointless and arbitrary various superficial gender rules are has to be some kind of step in a positive direction, yes? And that's kind of, well, the big picture. This innocuous one-joke cartoon isn't what its newly minted detractors seem to think it is, but in a way it is part of what they're raging against so hard with such futility. To an extent, the mainstream acknowledgement of transgenderism is the writ-large embodiment, alongside gay marriage and the whole cornucopia of LGBT issues, of an idea that our modern culture is moving more and more into wholesale rejection of certain antiquated notions of gender that played a key role in propping up certain arcane patriarchal social structures. And if you've got some kind of professional or ideological investment in said structures, well, that's going to be threatening to you. Hence all the shouting, even about a damn cartoon, since said cartoon's central joke is in pointing out how arbitrary and dumb the idea of gendering, clothing, colors, behaviors, etc. really is when you stop and think about it. So, well, no, it turns out the hub is not sneaking some radical revolutionary post-patriarchal gender fluidity tract in front of your kids in the guise of yet another superhero parody. It does feel like maybe it's a drop in the bucket, and as far as I'm concerned, put me down for team hoping this one catches on. I'm Bob, and that's the big picture.